With us tonight is Brandon Howell, Vice President for the Georgia Association of College Republicans. How you doing, Brandon?
Good. It's great to be with y'all.
Now, Brandon, when I was thinking about someone who could come on the show and talk about the results, you were literally the first guy that I talked about. So let's just dive into it. You've been looking at the maps. What are you thinking right now about the results for Gingrich? Good news?
It's been a big night for him in Georgia. He's focused pretty much all of his effort on Georgia for the past couple of weeks, and I think you see a real nostalgia effect here. It's really been a blowout win. He's polling a few points higher than I was, quite frankly, expecting, pushing 48, 49% overall, really crushing Santorum's chances in a state that Santorum would probably poll well in without Gingrich on the ballot. Really broad-based victory. He's picked up a lot of establishment support in Georgia, and, he said to win Georgia, or to continue on in the race, he had to win Georgia, and that's what he's done tonight.
Do you think he's exceeded his expectations in terms of numbers there?
I mean, the polls have been reflecting a solid uptick for Gingrich in the last couple of days. He's polling consistently at about what the last couple of polls were calling it for, but it's really been a broad-based victory for him here tonight. You could argue that it's just nostalgia factor, or you could argue that something more is at work. But Romney right now is only winning one county. Gingrich is winning every congressional district overall, and you're just seeing a really crushing victory for Gingrich here.
Now speaking of the counties, why do you think that Romney only has this few counties, but Gingrich has won the overall majority?
Well, Gingrich has some very strong Georgia ties here. He represented West Georgia, rather, for close to 20 years. He's got
taught at West Georgia, actually.
Taught at West Georgia, was a guest professor at Kennesaw, went to Emory for grad school. He's got the backing of a lot of politicians in this state, a lot of establishment support, a lot of money support, and again, the nostalgia factor could be at work. A lot of voters in exit polls aren't always willing to
like the 90's nostalgia.
I love the 90s.
They love the 90s.
You're seeing a lot of that at work, I believe. People are just really kind of dissatisfied with the candidates, I think, nationwide. And so probably tonight you had a lot of Georgians saying that they were going to go with the hometown guy regardless of what happened nationwide.
Well, clearly they did. And again, Metro Atlanta, Gingrich country, except for what, Fulton and DeKalb?
Just Fulton. DeKalb had not come in yet the last time I looked.
Last time I saw, Chatham County actually went for Romney, but all the counties around it for Gingrich. So a broad-based win.
Right,
sure.
Exactly.
Now, how was voter turnout?
Voter turnout has been substantially lower. I think that is one thing that does deserve to point out, and Republicans like me hate to point it out. But in 2008, 963,000 Georgians cast a ballot in the Republican primary, with 67% in. Only about 520,000 had voted, and that's on pace to be substantially lower than 2008. And it does kind of stem back to the whole argument that there is some dissatisfaction with the field, or maybe resignation about somebody else being the nominee. And so it is interesting to point out, and but then again, by the same token, a poll came out last week that said that the enthusiasm gap favored Republicans as opposed to Democrats about this election. So maybe Republicans are just saving their energy, but it definitely bears mention.
So no matter who the nominee is, do you think that eventually the Republicans will coalesce around that nominee?
I think that the dislike for President Obama is much stronger than any reservations that Republicans may have. There are definitely there are definitely divisions within the party right now, but there are divisions between Obama and Clinton along the same lines, spanning well into June of 2008.
And they all coalesced.
And the American public does have a short memory. You could say 13 years ago, who would have thought that Newt Gingrich would be a Super Tuesday candidate?